Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Courtney here.
And Fabian here.
So a lot to talk about today. Trevor Noah, we got to start with this. Kanye has now set his sights on Trevor Noah, has hurled racial slurs at him, the C word, the racial slur, although he used a K instead of a C. This all started with Trevor Noah with a cautionary tale, but a cautionary tale where he has experienced something that has happened to him. I didn't know this. Here's what he said.
I grew up my whole life in an abusive household, right? Most of my life, let's say from the age of 9 to 16. One of the things I found most interesting was how often people told my mom that she was overreacting. What I found interesting was how many times people told my mom to calm down, people told my family to calm down, everyone, and everyone had different reasons. Oh, I remember once we went to the police station and they said to my mom, oh, but did you talk back? Is that why you're here? Do we wish to stand by and watch a car crash when we thought we saw it coming? Or do we at least want to say, hey, slow down, let's all put our hazards on because there's a storm right now and some shit might go down.
So, number one, I did not know that Trevor Noah's mother was shot by his stepfather.
Right.
That is shocking to me.
Yeah.
But he has experience in this department, obviously. And what he's saying is that this is heading toward possible violence.
I don't think he's saying it is. He's saying it could. And he's saying that if you watch the full clip, it's a very nuanced, subtle analysis of what's happening. It's like a 10-minute clip, and he's being thoughtful. And he's saying, look, at first this started as a tabloid thing. Now it's transcending and becoming bigger. And he sees a potential harassment, domestic violence type of situation potentially playing out. He does, and he also defends Kanye a lot. In the clip, he says, no, in Kanye's defense, Kanye says, no, this is just art. This is just me expressing myself. Don't take this and connect the dots to that. But Trevor Noah is saying, yeah, we understand that, Kanye, but the thing is, you have told us yourself that you have mental issues. You can at times be unstable. So that is what worries Trevor Noah, and he's kind of saying, I think that's what kind of worries people, normal people who see this from the outside looking in.
But
he's right, by the way. He's right.
But I think what he's saying, too, is that this is all on Kanye because of the mental issues. And that, sometimes if two people are fighting, you don't know who's going to go off. He's making it clear the person he's worried about going off
would be
is
Kanye.
100%. Yeah.
And he's saying that in a way, and I thought this was an interesting metaphor, where it's like watching a car accident happen where you see it unfolding.
Right, and he was saying that, we don't want to get to the point where something potentially bad happens in real life, whatever, and then we look back later and said, damn, we saw this coming.
And we didn't do anything to stop it.
Exactly.
Because I also think he's talking to us, because a lot of people are laughing at the situation, supporting Kanye, and he's this is a serious situation. This is happening all the time. Look what happened to me. It's not people are making fun of the situation, and loving it. I think, and he's trying to put a real perspective on it again. I feel I lived through this. It's not all roses in every situation. You can't. It was really impactful when he said.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, Trevor Noah was being super thoughtful. Kanye comes out with the racial slur. He was using the song Kumbaya and inserting the racial slur into that. So he obviously didn't take it the right way. I'm a little surprised by that because, again, if you watch Trevor Noah's words in full, it's a nuanced take. And
are you really surprised at this?
I'm not. No. I just wish sometimes Kanye would.
He reacts so fast.
But you're also wishing from this kind of rational viewpoint, and I don't know that Kanye's in that space right now.
But doesn't Kanye's reaction kind of support what Trevor Noah's saying? It's getting
no, it's predictable. I mean, that's what he's saying.
That's the reason why I wish Kanye would kind of come to the table and come to his senses is because lately, and I agree with Trevor Noah, at first these past several weeks have been what I would consider harassment. It's kind of getting on the verge of concern, deep concern. The past week and change, I would argue that Kanye, he's been very public, but his grievances are actually based on substance. He's talking about custody issues. He's talking about things that he has an actual issue with. When it comes to that stuff, I don't see that as super concerning or harassing or whatever. The stuff before, the past several weeks in the Pete Davidson music video, I understand that it all kind of comes together in one big picture. But I just wish Kanye, I think there's some rationale and reason somewhere in there, and that's kind of what I'm hoping we can appeal to him.
It's
a lost cause?
I don't see it. Well, I don't think it's a lost cause. I think at the moment it's a lost cause.
Sure.
And I think until this Have you ever been involved in a relationship where it just goes haywire and one person breaks up and the other person cannot get over it, whether
Sure.
it's you or the other person? And at a point, you can't reason with them.
Right.
It's not rational. And even the person who's going through it realizes it's not rational because nobody wants to feel that way.
No,
Right.
and no one should.
And you want to break from it, but sometimes it's hard to break, and over time it just happens.
Yeah.
Maybe over time it's going to happen, but right now he is so obsessed with Kim and Pete and what they're doing and their divorce that
and the kids on TikTok,
and
like
but I
everything.
think it colors everything, and everything is a grievance because of it.
Right.
And anybody who dares to jump into the fray,
He
like Trevor Noah
Oh my
or
gosh.
D.L. Hughley.
He gets hostile.
Yeah.
He gets
Hostile.
that's not a good reaction.
No.
Like
And I
But-
feel
but
bad for the
it's-
kids because the
Yeah.
kids are going to just see all of
Well,
this and hear all of it.
I agree that they potentially could see it. I think Kim, she's probably doing a good job of shielding them for now because they're young kids. Like what's her name? North is like just 8 years old. Everyone else is way younger than that. So the kids, I think she can shield them from this right now.
But if she's already on TikTok, then she sees it. There's TikToks about them.
See, and
Yeah,
I don't
that's true.
think, and I don't think this whole thing about, oh my God, when they grow up, they're going to see.
Well, they definitely are going to see all this. Obviously,
I think it's just like hearing the tension. Like you never see your parents.
Let me tell you something. Those kids are going to see a lot when they grow
Yeah.
up.
for sure. Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like-
On
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
They're-
I mean,
they're
they're
beyond,
gonna,
yeah.
they're going to see a lot.
But
So,
their parents can't even be in the same room together like right now. Like that's what's going to be like so weird for them.
Let me tell you, they are going through what a lot of ordinary people go through.
Yeah, with
and
divorce.
it's sad, but that we've seen our share of these divorces,
Sure.
and they're really nasty and bitter, and sometimes it just has to get to a point where they're saying, "What are we doing to each other?" Although I don't know what Kim does. I
Yeah.
mean, Kim's just trying to live her life,
Right.
and she has joined at the hip with Kanye.
They should talk to Gwyneth Paltrow. I feel like Gwyneth
they
knows how
should.
to do divorce.
Isn't that the uncoupling type
Yes.
of thing? Yeah. Is this a good way to? Should we segue into the other Kanye stuff, or should we get circle back to it later?
I think too much Kanye right
Okay,
now.
Yeah.
we'll circle back. We'll break it up.
We're
We'll break
going
it
to
up.
move on. Let's do Jussie Smollett.
Oh,
So
Lord.
Jussie Smollett's brother is declaring victory, thinking that they have pressured the Chicago authorities in the jail facility there in Cook County
And
Jail.
honestly, maybe they have. It's very possible they could have because, like, why? Because
You think?
I don't know what's actually
hold
going on.
Let's explain the story. So Jussie Smollett was initially put in the psych ward at the Cook County Jail. Now, the authorities say not because he's crazy, not because he's got mental issues,
Right.
but because that's where they tend to put high-profile people.
Right, and which makes sense because he's already under protective custody as it is. So he's not in with the general population. He's not among the inmates. He's got a cushy situation, all things considered, for jail.
So it's a place to go. So
Yeah.
so Jussie's brother comes out and starts talking about two things. And I think it's really interesting. On the one hand, you can't put him in the psych ward because it's causing him mental issues.
Right.
It's creating
Isolating
mental issues for
him, right.
Isolating him, making him feel like he's going off the rails.
Right.
But on the other hand, if you let him go somewhere else, he's immunocompromised and he could get COVID. So it seems like where he's going is let him out, Your Honor.
They filed documents this week basically asking a court, hey, these are all the reasons he should be released ASAP. He's immunocompromised. His mental health is at risk. And not just that, but his family is receiving real threats and harassment that they think are going to translate to Jussie in jail somehow. I'm not sure how they connect those dots, but they're connecting those dots. And then they have this video. The video itself is a little questionable because it's an unknown.
It is weird.
Yeah, hi, this is Lives Matter. I hope what they do to that guy in jail, here's what they're gonna do, right? They're gonna take a broom handle and take that little shove it in there, and he's gonna go, oh.
It's a call coming in from an unknown number.
But you know that's true. You know
Yeah.
they're getting that kind of stuff.
Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, considering
I'm
Jussie's
sure
history,
they
I don't know
are.
what's I don't
I'm
know
sure
what's
they
real.
are, but
I
it's
don't know
always
what's
just
real.
like since Jussie's was on trial for what he did, it's like you can make those jokes like, is it real? Is it not
Right.
real? But yes, you know that they're getting those.
Sure,
threats. Why
for
wouldn't
sure.
like
It's
1,000%.
totally
so
plausible.
so they have moved him out of the psych ward and they've put him in basically his own cell.
Right.
And they're guarding him. They're saying they're letting him out, the way other prisoners or the way other inmates get out. So he's not stuck there, 24 hours a day. So his brother thinks that pressure worked. Here's what he said.
thank you so much for the support with all the hashtag Free Jussie. It's working. He's now been moved to a new jail cell out of a psych ward that has a bed. Before he was sleeping on a restraint bed, and now he's been moved to a jail cell that actually has a bed. So thank you so much. That's really because of all the hashtag Free Jussie that's been going on. It's all the pressure that we're applying on Cook County and Cook County Jail. Unfortunately, Cook County doesn't really move until they get bad publicity, and so we have to just keep applying pressure, y'all. We believe he's innocent, but even if you don't believe in his innocence, you should believe that he can't be in jail. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like,
so you may not believe in his innocence, but you know he should not be in jail.
Yeah, it's
well,
like,
if you believe he's guilty, that doesn't mean, oh, well, he should not be in jail.
Yeah,
I think he's going back to the crux of the argument with Jussie's camp, because he's kind of saying, like, the class 4 felony, nonviolent, there's a lot of people that don't go to jail who are convicted of class 4 felonies. The thing that I think is lost on Jussie's supporters and his family is that not every class 4 felony case gets treated with the same blanket treatment and sentences. That's just not how the criminal justice system works. It's all case by case.
He could have took his plea. He could have took his plea.
He could have taken the plea, exactly, and then he wouldn't be in jail.
But I would even give him that if he wants to fight this thing, he is allowed to fight it.
Of course, that's his right.
But the reality is, what Jussie did really impacted that city.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
it was really impacted
and that's the thing that I think that his family just doesn't understand. Like, it's a big deal. Whether you believe it, he was convicted of something that's a huge deal.
And this happened back in 2019. 2019 this happened.
The punishment might actually fit the crime. The punishment might actually fit the crime. Can I tell you,
I am surprised it was only 5 months.
Yeah. Me too, especially how the judge was talking to him.
When you listened to the judge.
Wasn't like there were multiple years on the table, potentially,
you
right?
could have got, I believe, 3 years.
Something like that.
When the judge was like narcissistic, I got nervous for Jussie. I was like, he's going to be back for a while.
I thought he was going to throw the book. He didn't throw the book. He just kind of like lobbed it over to him. But still, like, it was, I thought it made sense.
But he did lead with the probation, which...
Right, it was like a plot twist.
Like, I'll lead with probation and then I'll say your jail time.
There was a little drama there for sure.
I thought that was a little unfair, although I don't know whether the judge did that on purpose.
Yeah,
but
so anyway, Jussie will continue fighting. We'll see what comes of it.
But the other thing, just one thing, that the jail is, he's intimating that they had him in restraints when he was sleeping.
Was that true? Is that true?
He was not in restraints.
I mean, he might have been sleeping on a bed
that had restraints.
But he wasn't.
He wasn't restrained.
That's what I'm saying. His family is doing a lot of misinformation, in my opinion, and it's a shame. It's like, you guys are trying to create this narrative, but like, and it's hard to tell what the actual truth is. People are just like seeing the social media. Anyway, I don't want to get all riled up.
Okay, well, I want to get into Zelensky. I want to get into Zelensky. So he spoke before a joint session of Congress today.
Yeah, just now. Literally.
The part that kind of surprised me, I thought they were going to give him the same kind of ovation at the end that they gave him in Canada, and it was kind of tepid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what? What difference does it make?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
You wanted more.
What? Who wants? Explain to me. Who actually wants more? Like,
I
who cares?
I did.
Who cares about these frivolous? These are frivolous things. These are ego things. Nobody gives a shit about that. Let's get to the substance of what actually happened.
We will in a second. But the reason I think this is important, it was funny because I was talking to Charles about this before we started the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
And, Charles, he was, we had this talk where he was saying, he took pause in Zelensky speaking in the reception he was getting, because he's saying, look, why didn't we react this way to when Russia invaded Afghanistan? Why didn't we react this way when there were other wars? And I think
that's a whole other conversation.
Well,
like
it does go to the issue of applause and how the United States is behind him. That's why I was kind of raising that, because the reception that the Ukrainians and Zelensky have been getting is exceptional. And I was just telling Charles how moved I was by it. And he was saying, I get it, but why didn't this happen?
And in Syria? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, other recent atrocities, similar atrocities have happened all over the world, widely covered. And the U.S., by and large, in a lot of those situations, didn't even care
And Charles's point is, and I mean, I think he makes a point. He says they look just like us. And, there
might be something there too.
And I don't think you can dismiss. Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent.
Maybe it's on a subconscious level, perhaps, but I think that's a fair.
Now, to me,
he's pleading for our help.
Well, to me, the two things that are really stunning here are just the Ukrainian will to fight for their
Yeah.
freedom
Sure.
and how it kind of crystallizes how we take freedom for granted. And the second thing is Zelensky.
Yeah, he's a
I mean,
huge part of
clearly,
it.
he's a
so
huge-
powerful.
he's
He's,
the-
moving.
He is
huge
literally
part of
the
it.
face of the defense movement. He's the face
Yes.
of it, and he's a good ambassador.
especially
And you
to it.
don't
because-
see, I don't, you don't see anything like this
No.
over time. I mean,
Oh, we haven't. Yeah, we
Well, no,
haven't.
'cause
Winston
remember-
Churchill,
Right.
even
Yeah.
for me, you know, it was a little late in the game for me.
Sure.
But Winston,
I
I
I
mean-
barely know who Winston
Well,
Churchill
Well,
I mean-
remember just recently in Afghanistan, the president fled like right away.
did.
Like
You're
he just
right.
like
He
dipped
did.
out of the country.
and then
so,
when
like, to
somebody
come-
says,
That's a very
I want
comparable
ammo,
situation.
yeah, like
I
Right.
want
it was
ammo,
just
not a
crazy.
ride.
Yes, it was awesome. It's just so powerful.
Yeah.
Like
So getting to the substance of what Zelensky said, because look, I mean, to be honest with you, I understand him. It's important for him to come and talk to Congress. He's been on this little tour lately, doing this to a lot of different bodies of government all over the Western powers. Now the U.S.'s turn is today. Look, to me, a lot of it, what he did today, is symbolic. I understand it's important. He showed a video of all.
I want to talk about this video.
Friends, Americans, in your great history, you have pages that would allow you to understand Ukrainians. Understand us now when we need you right now. Remember Pearl Harbor. Terrible morning of December 7, 1941, when your sky was black from the planes attacking you. Remember September the 11th. Just like no one else expected it. You could not stop it. Our country experiences the same every day, right now, at this moment, every night, for 3 weeks now. Various Ukrainian cities, Odessa and Kharkiv, Chernihiv and Sumy, Zhytomyr and Lviv, Mariupol and Dnipro. Russia has turned the Ukrainian sky into a source of death for thousands of people.
I mean, it's powerful, but it's a lot of the same stuff that we've already been seeing and widely covering. You know what I mean?
But can I tell you something about the video? Is that, and maybe I'm overthinking this. Look, he was an entertainer before he was a president, and
It's not.
I think-
Look, it's not difficult to tug at heartstrings in
well,
this situation.
No,
it's
no,
not
no.
difficult
But-
at all.
But what I'm saying is that I think he understands the power of this
Yeah.
kind of visual medium in a way that a lot of presidents don't. And I think the fact that this was so well produced, that, you know, even the music in it, everything was so compelling. And I
Right.
get your point. I'm not saying it changes everything.
Right.
But I think it just underscores why he connects so with people.
Right.
Because I think the entertainment background in some ways
It does. You're
helps
right.
him.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
he's a showman. I mean, there's no question about it. For good purposes,
For good
obviously.
purposes.
For good purposes, which is important to say. But just to get to the substance of what he's actually asking for and what I think he will or won't get. He's asking for the United States and NATO by extension to enforce a no-fly
Which
zone.
is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but he offered an alternative because I was reading into this.
Yeah.
He said, if you can't give me the no-fly zone, give me more air military defense equipment. And he's asking for jets. He's asking for like equipment and things. Biden just yesterday signed a huge spending bill. It's like trillions of dollars. And like 13 point something billion dollars of that is going to, it's new aid for Ukraine. So that's the thing. It's like, that's kind of where I feel like he came here and a lot of this stuff is already happening. A lot of the things that Zelensky is asking for are already happening.
Do you know what's interesting? I was reading last night, that, you know, he's talking about getting fighter jets and everything else.
Sure.
This is much more a ground war than an air war.
And we're not going to get involved with that.
Well, no. But 60 to 70% of the Russian aggression
It's
is
tanks.
based on the
tanks.
ground.
Sure.
It's tanks, anti-air missiles, and things like that. About 30% is air. So this
Right.
is largely something fought in the ground. So the notion of getting planes and everything else, there are some military experts who are saying that may not have the impact that we think it has, because, you know, we think of airplanes and bombers and everything else, but they're not, at least now, they're not fighting it that way. They're fighting it mostly in the ground.
Right. I mean, there are cases where like airstrikes happen. Like airstrikes are devastating. Like even if they're not happening a whole lot right now, if we could find a way, not we,
Yeah.
but like if there could be a way to like get rid of the airstrike element, that'd be a huge win for Ukraine.
The whole situation is just sad. I mean, Charlie.
Did you see this picture? We're putting this up on the website right now.
What?
The brutal. There's an it's an execution. You
Yeah,
see a
killing the kids.
civilian. No, you see a civilian with the person's hands up, next to a tank, and the next picture they're dead.
Yeah, and
it's just
it's
an
brutal.
execution.
But
It really is.
Is it any different than any other war that's ever happened in the history of mankind? No, it's not. War is brutal. War is devastating. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to like downplay the horror
I know
You
it
just
sounds
think
like an
it's different 'cause we're
oxymoron,
in a
but there are
modern
ground
world.
rules in war. It's one of the reasons they talk about war crimes.
Sure, that's a fair point.
You know, you have to look at this, and I get your point because intuitively you think, if it's a war and you're killing people, how does that work? But there are limitations. I mean, look, there's now fear that that the Russians are going to use chemical weapons.
Yeah.
If that happens,
it's a whole other ballgame.
it changes anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end with Kanye. I know you wanted to get to this so badly.
Yeah, we'll circle back to Kanye.
Who
again.
wants to do this?
Favorite.
Courtney, go.
Go for it. No.
You want to do it, or you want me to do it?
You
Or wanna
do.
it.
This
You
is
do it.
legal.
This
This
is-
is heavy,
yeah.
legal, heavy stuff. You
This
lead
is
it
all
off.
about custody.
Sure.
It's not heavy lifting. So look, Kanye has a new lawyer, Samantha Spector.
This is
Yeah, she's a hotshot
And
lawyer.
what lawyer number is this?
It's like
It's a lot.
5,
Yeah, right?
5 or 6.
She's a high profile lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she is saying, this is what we're hearing, that look, want to work out some kind of a custody arrangement with a schedule, but if we can't, we're just going to go to the judge and we're going to say, you work it out. Here's the problem with this. How does Kanye West stick to a schedule?
He can't. He doesn't even stick to his own schedule of like releasing his album on time.
But even
he's
Right.
not going to stick to
That's
this.
true.
Right, but I mean, that's a good point.
Like-
but even if he has the best of intentions to do it, he travels all the
By the
time.
way, we should mention Kim also travels all the time too. She's all over the place. She's in New York. She's in Paris. She travels a lot too. Like, let's not pretend like Kanye is
there's
the only
gotta-
one who's
no, no.
jet setting
There's gotta-
everywhere.
It's true, but there's got to be a home base. And when Kim travels, she has a whole system in place.
Yeah, a
with
bunch of nannies
and
that take
everything.
care of the kids.
And look, you may agree or disagree about, child rearing, whatever else, but that's home base. And now the question is, when does Kanye get the kids? Because she is the primary caregiver. That's
Yeah.
just the case.
Do you think that Kanye will argue that he should be the primary caregiver?
No,
Why
I
not?
don't
Tell
think
me
he
why though.
will.
Tell me why. Because like money wise, it's the same. It's virtually the
I
same.
just don't think he'll take that.
Why? Just because the kids are used to the the Kardashian situation?
I think it's
because they're
just-
young enough to where potentially, if he wanted to make this argument and say I should be the primary caregiver, let me set up a home base wherever that may be, because he could provide the exact same situation Kim's offering
Is
with
it
his
as-
own
is-
money
is-
and his
is-
own
is-
resources.
Is it
Couldn't
as
he?
stable?
Huh?
Is it as stable?
What is that? I don't know what you're saying. What is it? What?
Would that situation be as stable as what they have now?
Be as stable? I don't. He could make the argument. He's got Samantha Spector. I mean, tell me why it wouldn't be as stable.
Here's the deal. In California and many states, the judges like to award joint custody because they want both parents involved. So I don't think this is an issue of who's going to get primary custody. They're going to call it joint, and then the question is, how does it work? Where are the kids day to day? And you've got to have some place that's home base for them. And the reality is that right now they are in the family house, the house they grew up in, the house some of them were born in, and to destabilize that, because Kanye, Kim is just in town more than Kanye.
Sure,
When
that's
Kanye
true.
And at a point, the judge is going to worry about the kids.
Yeah.
So Kanye could get, 30%, 40%, 28% custody. That's up to the judge. But to come up with a rigid schedule, you get the kids Wednesday and every other weekend, I just don't see how that works.
Kanye was just even mad at Kim for not taking North out of school one night to go to Miami to watch him. It's
Right.
you can't be pulling kids out of school for she had a test.
Well, no,
Right.
and then he got really pissed off and he
Yeah,
said
it's
she's
like-
denying me the right to see
yeah,
my
it's
kid.
Yeah.
no, she had a school in the morning. She had a test.
Right.
You can't just go to Miami.
I
And,
mean, it's
miss
interesting
it.
you're saying that, because we started where you were saying, hey, Kanye is unstable and Kanye is this
Well,
and Kanye is that.
the reason
and now you're
the reason I'm kind of bringing this up as a potential hypothetical is because if you listen to some of Kanye's gripes, he has been saying a lot lately that, and he's making this wider argument about divorce, custody. Why does the mom usually get the primary? It's because because it's already been set in place. Let's just go with what's already set in place, what's already precedent. He's arguing he's essentially arguing dads are left out of the picture a lot. And I'm not saying that in this specific case that he deserves primary custody.
but you're not.
I'm hearing his argument about dads are left out of the picture.
Guess what?
That's a dynamic of this country
That
that's
is-
been going on forever.
It is, but you can't make decisions based on what's going on globally in the what's going on
Right.
around the United States. You got to base it on the individual circumstances.
You're right. That's
and
true.
Just
That's
on
true.
Monday,
I get it.
Kanye posted like pictures of like North's like backpack and was like, "Oh, I didn't get to see her for like a week." And then Kim
Right.
was like, Kanye, you just picked her up like this morning.
Okay.
Stop creating this
Sure.
narrative."
I agree.
We could go on and
Yes,
on.
we could.
But we just can't.
No.
We'll see you. We'll see you Friday.
Well,
you got something else?
Oh God.
I was just going to say one last thing, if you'll let me. Like, for the custody agreement, Kanye, he's so public with his complaints and everything. A judge needs to settle. I understand that you're saying that it's going to be hard for him to stick to them, but if a judge lays something down,
But what is he
he'll
lay-
have to abide by it.
but
He'll
he can't
have to
go to
abide by
jail.
it.
Okay. We can't get
Yeah.
into it
All right,
anymore.
we'll save it for another
but-
time. We'll save it for another
That's
time.
easier said than done.
Okay.
See you Friday.
All right.
Bye.